Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another week of the Fixate Binge Podcast. I am so excited you're here. I hope that you're having a great week. I hope that you've had joy in your life. I hope that you're doing well. I think I say that generically. I really do hope each of us are doing well. It is possible that we can all do well. We can all be happy. We don't have to have happiness in our society graded on a curve. We can all be happy. We can all choose to be better people and to live better lives and have happier outlooks on things. Most of what I'm saying is just it's internal monologue for myself. It's internal advice for myself. But regardless of getting into that, I am very excited that you're back this week. I hope you've had an opportunity to listen to last week's episode of the Fixate Binge podcast. I had A.B. Troen and Angelique Molina. They are the co-directors of the documentary Just Sing. And Just Sing, it's perfect if you enjoyed the Picture Perfect films, if you enjoy the Glee TV series and you got into that. My wife did when it came out. And unless you were living in a cave, Glee was quite the thing to watch. They even referenced Glee and marathon watching Glee on The Office. So Glee was a moment. It was a phenomenon in TV history. So the documentary Just Sing actually expands on some of that part of interest. And the film, I'm doing a terrible setup here, but the film is about a collegiate a cappella group known as the SoCal Vocals because they attend the University of Southern California. And I got to sit down with them and have a great podcast last week. The film has opened up in select cities on Friday, April 24th around the United States in LA and New York and Vegas and different major places like this, I think in Chicago and Miami. And so if you find this film, if you see it, chances are you're going to not be able to catch it on the big screen if you don't live in one of those major cities. So if you do see it, I urge you to stream it. It's one of the finest documentaries I've seen. And I just really enjoyed my conversation with A.B. Troen and Angelique Molina. And if you haven't heard that episode, after listening to this, go back and listen to that one because it's so insightful. My guests were so sharp, so on it. So anyway, that's a shameless plug for last week's episode, but it's really a plug for the great movie that is Just Sing. Now, for this next episode, I've got two guests. They actually come from Australia. So I've actually got an opportunity to crack into the down under. That's my impersonation of an Australian accent. It's probably pretty terrible. But they're going to come on in just a second. This is more or less to introduce them, bring them into the podcast, and then we're going to go. But I had recorded this interview with my two guests from Australia last week, and so I'm just now getting it ready for you guys to listen to it today. But before I get into that, there's a couple current things I think that are worth thinking about. The Mummy, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I may have mentioned it last week's episode, but Lee Cronin's The Mummy, it's in cinemas now. It's kind of divided horror fans, but I'll tell you this, I gave it 4 stars. It's a 4-star horror film. It terrifies and entertains. That's as simple as I can put it. It's a little bit long, and it does borrow from other horror films, well, mostly the Evil Dead franchise, which should not surprise anybody because Lee Cronin actually directed a Evil Dead film within the Evil Dead franchise, but it is terrifying, and you are not prepared for a lot of the scares that are in this film, and it's gory and gross and skin-crawlingly creepy. So if you like horror and you want to experience it on the big screen, do not miss the chance to see it in the cinema now. It's playing now. This will be its second weekend. But a couple things. I finished binging last weekend season 2. I did it over 2 days, which is pretty impressive. I was such a couch potato last weekend. But my wife, my oldest daughter, and I sat down and we binged The Pit season 2. And I will table my impressions of season 2 for another time because there's more important things to discuss today. But let me just say it was highly rewarding. and exhausting. I felt a little bit like the cast members' characters did at the end of those 15 episodes. So it was pretty intense. Right now, as of today, a new film opened up on Netflix. You can watch it. It's called Apex. It stars Taron Egerton and Charlize Theron. You might have seen some trailers for it. I've described it as a cat and mouse survivor thriller or survival thriller, and it's not bad. It's really not bad for Netflix. I mean, Netflix, it's hit and miss with these big tentpole releases, especially when they're not dramas or whatever, when they're like adventure or different type of genre films. It's hit and miss with Netflix, but this is actually quite good. So if you like seeing Charlize Theron fully commit to a role, as she always does, this is really good stuff. And Taron Egerton is creepy and fantastic. And if you watch the trailer, you'll know why. You'll know why he's creepy. But if you're just looking for a quiet night in, you want to catch something that's on Netflix, that's brand new, it's fresh, I'm sure it's going to trend. It's going to be the #1 film. This is not disappointing at all. Apex is pretty dang good. Okay, enough about that. I am really, really excited to introduce to you today's topic. A few weeks back, I was given a screener to a film that was made in Australia, and it was called Kangaroo Island. And there actually is a Kangaroo Island. It's right off the coast of the mainland of Australia. And I watched this wonderful film, and my wife and I and my oldest daughter watched it, but my wife and I were just so impressed and so floored and stunned. It was so well written, so well directed, and acted. It was executed perfectly. It's one of those independent films you rarely see where everything is firing on all cylinders. It really looks like it's an independent film that looks like it had a major Hollywood budget. The film looks gorgeous. The locations are stunning. The acting is top notch. The writing is so witty, so smart, and it's 113 minutes long. And there's so much packed in there, and it's just done so well. And the director of the film, it's this director's first feature film. They've done a lot of commercial work, but it's their first actual feature film debut. And as far as a first film goes, I mean, you can't get closer to knocking it right out of the ballpark than this. And so the film is called Kangaroo Island. And I want to play the trailer for you right now, and then I'm going to bring you into my interview with them. Here's the trailer for Kangaroo Island.
I didn't think you were coming back.
I never should have left.
You think you have all the time in the world. I just wasn't present enough. I didn't soak it all in.
Makes you living.
Hey.
Hey.
You think that's okay, spending the afternoon with my husband?
Do you think it's okay telling the cops about Dad?
I've let Jesus into my life. Jesus has so...
Every time you say Jesus, I'm going to skull beer.
The only reason you're back is because you failed at your relationship and you're broke.
There are animals that when they get scared, they fight harder, they run faster. Some, they just freeze.
All right, so that is the trailer for Kangaroo Island, like I said, and I'm now we're going to just transition right over to my interview. I had an interview with director Timothy David, or Tim David, and his wife, Sally Gifford, who's the screenwriter. Timothy directed this, his wife wrote it, and they joined me from Maui, Hawaii. I'm not kidding. They're literally sitting outside on their beach house with a laptop speaking to me. And you can see the blue water. You can hear the waves if you're listening carefully. And it might get a little windy for the audio, but I hope you enjoy this. This is the Fixate Binge Podcast. I'm so glad to meet Tim David and Sally Gifford. Here they are. My goodness. So I got sent a screener link of your film about a week and a half ago. And my wife and I sat down and watched it. And when it was done, we think it's one of the finest independent films we've ever seen.
Oh, thank you, man.
Wow.
Just brilliant. We loved all of the characters. We loved the writing. We loved the use of humor throughout. And I really can't, I just can't wait. I can't wait to get into this with the two of you because I don't know. Yes, it helps, I think, that you're a married couple, but the way it's like peanut butter and chocolate. You guys came together in a very, really cohesive and effective way to make this wonderful film.
Yeah,
I have nothing but praise. Yeah, I really wanted to jump in really quick. So what I do is I'm a podcaster. I had stars in my eyes at one time, so I had dreams of the bright lights of Tinseltown. So I immediately connected with Lou Wells in this, as a guy, obviously. So I immediately connected with her character. That was immediately very effective, and what results from that and her story and her journey back home, I really just want to ask, where did this idea germinate from? Where did it originate from, come from?
I'm similar to you. So I studied acting. I kind of fell into it. I was in university and not expecting to become an actor. And I was doing some local theater. And then I was, asked, hey, why don't you go to theater school? Went to theater school in New York. And from there, was trying to be an actor and going to all those auditions. And the scene with the agent, little spoiler, that is based on something that actually happened to me. I was dismissed by my agency in New York, after not booking anything big, I think for a few years, which is excruciating, but ultimately realized I'm an introvert and love writing and don't particularly, besides the small cameo.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overall film, where the idea came from, the island really informed the movie's themes, because when you're on the island, there's actually more animals than people.
Oh, wow.
We were living in New York City at the time, which is obviously, just people everywhere. So it felt so extreme to be somewhere where you were reminded that, hey, you're just an animal too.
Uh-huh.
And it got me thinking about, what type of animal is the human? Why do we seek meaning? Do other animals seek meaning? And then from there, how do we go on to create a meaningful life? Because that's important to us when terrible things inevitably happen to us. And one of the ways we do that is through humor, which is why there's so many jokes throughout the film, So
I really appreciate that description. And I think you're absolutely right when it comes to trying to find our place or our meaning in the universe or the purpose of our life and what it means to live and to live well. I really enjoyed the use of humor throughout. It really reminded me of a Shakespearean tragedy where he just throws in some humor, the porter in Macbeth, so the gravedigger in Hamlet or whatever, I think that's really clever, the way you've used humor throughout, especially with the theme of lost luggage, which I think is a great metaphor for the film, is to leave your bags behind. And I thought that was so effective, and it came at such perfect moments. It was giving me oxygen to breathe a little bit, and to laugh a little bit, and you kept that going all the way to the very end, which was just so genius. It was a big laugh out loud moment. My wife and I were just laughing when the constable, the policeman, came into the house.
That was Tim's call, because
Well, it was very late, so the script was locked, everything like that, and I go through, because Sally just writes from the heart and spits it out, and then I'm the assistant that has to tidy up all the bits and pieces. Sure. But I like to write as well, and so occasionally I'll try and write a line or two here or there, and then quietly go to my master and ask if it's okay and what she thinks, and eight times out of 10 she likes what I've done. But this one, I just remember it was late at night. I probably had a wine or something, and I thought, oh my God, this lines up perfectly, because he could come in and just say, "We've stopped searching, and we're talking about a body." But no, we're not. And I just thought, oh, this could be so funny. So I put it in, and I thought, oh, but it made me feel uncomfortable. Sent it to Rebecca and said, oh yeah, here's the latest version of the script. Didn't mention it, and so she wants a call, and we're in Adelaide this time, and then she's in the States, and so we have the call, and we're chatting, and she says, so I see you made a slight change at the end there when Lou is, going through her lowest moment in her entire life. You've thrown in a rather large joke, and but she's so good. I said to her, trust me, here's why it works. It is a very sad moment in the film, but the policeman coming in and making the mistake that he did is 100% believable and a natural thing that could actually happen. It's just hysterical that it happens at this time, which is also a metaphor for life, when you think one thing's happening and then someone's on a complete other parallel path, and it's that messiness of life. So it was all on theme. But yeah, that was a fun one, and it came very late. We had the joke. Sally had the joke from the beginning going throughout. It was very funny, but that was just a nice one that really added up beautifully.
It really put a button on the end of your film, and really put it just a nice it was a great punctuation moment, and it just tied together the running gag throughout the film. And you're absolutely right. These sort of things will happen at inopportune times. I mean, and that's just the way it is. And I was so glad for just moments where you're processing all of this family trauma. You're watching a family fall apart and then come together, and fall apart and come together. And then there's this, but don't forget, it's like the divine comedy. Don't forget, there are moments where we can step back and laugh a little bit at some of this.
Well, I think philosophically, life is a joke. It has to be a joke. I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Everything's absurd. The fact that this planet Earth is smaller than a grain of sand in the Sahara Desert, the whole thing's a joke.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, beyond the family dynamic and all the entanglements with the characters, there is one scene around the dinner table, and obviously everyone has religious and philosophical differences. And that was some of the most intelligent writing that I've seen in a film in a very long time, talking about belief and faith, and is there a higher power, and are we just random? Is this a multiverse? Is it endless? I don't know. I thought that is really just sorry to big you up here, Sally, but that's just brilliant writing, and I loved it.
Look, I felt like these are the things that I think about all the time, worry me, give me anxiety, excite me, inform my value system, shape my whole life. And it feels like it shapes the lives of most people, whether or not we're aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So why are we not talking about this in film? Well, because we want to be respectful. Everyone has their own beliefs. And I get that, but I thought there might be a way that we can zoom out and just speak about meaning and creation, and make it a conversation that everyone can relate to without it feeling preachy or judgmental. And I hope that we pulled that off. And I think that, it was just something that I wasn't seeing in film that I wanted to see. So we went there.
It was so refreshing, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. We don't get enough of that without it being preachy, without it feeling judgmental, or having something like that, having something that's underpinned with some sort of an agenda that you're trying to push or a narrative you're trying to sell. We used to be a culture that could talk around the dinner table, and it feels like tribalism, whether it's politics or cultural or social issues, tribalism has really eroded the discourse in families.
Yeah, hasn't it?
It has. Our family, there's a lot we avoid now at the table.
Yeah. That's right. It's really sad. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do think films like this can help, because it just encourages conversation. And look, there are some cultures in the world where you're not allowed to have that conversation.
Right.
And this film's not allowed to be shown, and you're not allowed to question anything. So what I like about it is that it's had a couple of Christian reviews, and they don't appreciate some elements of it, but overall, they seem to embrace the film as a really good examination of God, or at least the concept of it. And so it gets props from, the religious community, while at the same time clearly not being a religious film.
Yeah, it's not a religious film. It's a human film.
It's a human film.
It's this meaning seeking is
Yes.
something that bonds all of us and our insecurities and our fears.
Yeah.
And I think that could bring us together as opposed to pushing us apart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe that sounds a bit Pollyanna of me, but it gave me a bit of hope anyway.
I'm glad to see it in the film. I'm glad to see it in any film. It was really refreshing. And I mean, I didn't feel like I was being preached at all. And I have these questions. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I feel and think about these things all the time. I deal with people in my family, and maybe you have them in your inner circle as well. There's a certain religious certitude. They know, they're confident, and then there are people who are a little bit more philosophical about it. I'm willing to accept other, not so much other dogmas or doctrines, but I'm willing to accept other interpretations. I'm willing to try and find common ground. And we just don't do that enough. And I love that your film goes there. And the other thing, I know I have so many questions, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really enjoyed, and this is the main thing that I enjoyed about your film, was discussing, and I don't want to give the film away because those listening to this podcast, you need to see Kangaroo Island. But I do want to touch on a very difficult topic that the father, Rory Wells, discusses. And without saying what it is, that was refreshing to hear a parent basically discuss so openly something that can be so difficult to discuss with your children. If I'm being vague enough, I think.
I think, and I think, I don't know if you noticed it or not, or if there's enough of a difference culturally, but Australians, at least from my point of view, being a foreigner, they're still very British. They tend not to be, they don't lead with their vulnerability. I wanted it to be authentically Australian. So Rory sort of delivers this news in a very matter-of-fact way. He's processed it, and he's very loving, but he wants to keep it safe for his children. And far out, like, these are conversations that we are going to have with family members. And again, how do we navigate all this? And how do we navigate it for ourselves as well? I hope I'm brave enough when the time comes. So
I love that he's being brave for his kids, because I think that's very Australian too, that kind of attitude. And Sally's not Australian, but I think she's observed that in my family and other families, just that sort of Australian perspective on she'll be right, mate, no matter what. She'll be right, mate. That's
right.
Sometimes as a North American, I'm like, no, it's not right, mate. Like, can we talk about this?
Can we talk about it? Can you cry, please? I would like to see you cry, please, because otherwise I don't feel like life is real here.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So wrote this movie to make us all cry.
But that was really fun in the writing of it, because there's so much that's not said. So when I was writing, there's so much communication. I hope it came across where, the words between the words, because Australians just will not talk about so much.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have an Australian experience, but I went to grad school in England, and I lived over there for 6 years. And the British, the stiff upper lip, keep calm, carry on. It's more than just a T-shirt or a coffee mug. It really is an ethos over there. They're very much like, it's just, life goes on. It is what it is. Go to the pub, grab a pint, and, which I loved. I loved about that. My two oldest children were born over in England, so they're
cool,
British American. But but and I'm an Anglophile for life. But I really very much loved what you packed into this film. And it's 113 minutes, and it feels like an entire season's worth of a soap opera. packed in. And yet, I mean, the fear I would have if I had seen all the themes that were going to be discussed in your film and covered, I would have said, well, you've really smushed those things in that might overwhelm an audience. And yet when I watched it, I was like, I feel like I've had a family reunion or I've gone home for a holiday and that's happened. People trauma dump on me and they dump all their problems. And I'm like, this is what happens in real families.
It is. And I think the strength of the film is in the fact that it is 10 years of drama, right?
Yeah.
That's come to a head. So it's not actually that, filmmakers tried to write a really soapy drama and make all this shit happen within a short amount of time.
Right.
When all the family's together. This is like a lifetime of shit that's happened that has to come to a head because of a tragedy. So it's about a past tragedy that tore the family apart and a current tragedy that brings them together. And it feels like a lot of drama, but it's all earned. And it is drama, but it's all stuff that we're all going to go through. So I believe no one can accuse the film of being too anything or soapy because it is grounded in believable and real circumstances that we are all going to experience at some point. So it's been an interesting ride, for Sally and I to deal with some criticism along the lines of the drama, and then look back and go, well, and then I go, no, it is what it is. The other thing is, I saw it very early on as quite dramatic, and even from the concept stage, we were talking about other things that could be in it, might not be in it. But if I look at my favorite films, especially dramatic films or even TV shows, there's a shitload goes on, and then you realize that's actually what makes a great story. Because otherwise, it's a story we can all tell. But what's the story that so profoundly grabs you that deserves to be a film, that deserves people's money, that deserves people's attention, that deserves being made, and it has to be exceptional in some way. And so,
Wait for a sec.
sorry about the train.
No, that's okay.
I think I made my point. Yeah.
No, you did, and you're absolutely right. It's if those things aren't happening, then why would we be compelled to watch?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that really comes down to the essence of story. And again, when I watched your film, I was like, I felt like I've been to I lived in Hawaii for 6 years and didn't go home for 6 years and then went home. And boy, did I get caught up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, take a look at your own. If you're going to judge this movie and this family, I encourage everyone to be really honest about what's happening in your own family.
Yeah, absolutely right. I wanted to ask, were there any films or any other literary or cinematic influences that you guys were like, that's kind of a theme we're going for, or I kind of want to, that influences kind of what we want to achieve here obviously your film is very much its own thing, but was there anything that influenced your style or anything in that way for Kangaroo Island?
Not influenced because it's quite a low budget film, but I put money in lenses so it doesn't feel like it. But we had to shoot so many scenes in just a handful of days.
Wow.
That I went for a style that hadn't been done before in my mind, which was really shooting this on the fly like a documentary and letting the actors just move around and the camera follows them as much as possible, and don't worry about too much, don't get too precious about certain shots. So I sort of went anti-film cinephile mode into let's just make sure that we capture authentic performances with beautiful lenses in a beautiful landscape, without worrying about lighting or perfect sound or perfect focus or anything like that. And I hadn't really seen that before, so I was shit scared because but at the same time, I didn't know any other way to shoot this within the budget that we had. But I think tonally, because there was a lot of comedy and drama in it, we did think about films like The Descendants. Who's that director? I just the name.
Alexander Payne?
Yeah, Alexander Payne. I think he does a great job with authenticity and realism with humor and drama. So I think we were looking at that sort of vibe. I told the actors very early on that this is an international film, not an Australian film. So I didn't want them to feel like they had to play up Australiana and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Story-wise, that's the directing side. I don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
this.
the first thing that came to mind was The Descendants, and I know it's set here, but I loved that there was that huge tragedy going on with the mother being in the hospital.
Here being Hawaii.
Here, sorry, yeah.
Right. This is the one with George Clooney and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Great film. Great film.
Nominated for Oscar. And again, very
Yeah.
dramatic, right? Because it starts off with it's got affairs, dying,
Drugs.
It's got inheritance. So it had a few things that were aligned with ours, it's another example of like a very dramatic film that just works.
I wanted to lead into sincerity too. Like there's so much now that's just really glib, ironic. I'm a very sincere person, so I thought for better or worse, lean into that. It can make people a little freaked out sometimes, just to like lean in and be like, yeah, like, you go deep. But I figure there's got to be others like me out there, and it sounds like you enjoyed it, so that's good.
I loved it.
Found you.
Yeah.
But and I just said to Tim, and I didn't really have the right, but I said, like, what do you think about not making us feel the director's presence? The actors, let's not put makeup on them. Let's not worry about like lighting.
Don't worry about hair.
Yeah, let's just make this feel as real as possible.
Which leans into the production of a low budget film. Right?
Yeah.
So you get to, the problem of low budget becomes your help. And when we first landed in Kangaroo Island after 3 days shooting in Adelaide for Los Angeles, one of we were filming on the plane for one. So those plane shots are us actually going to Kangaroo Island. And when that plane lands, that is the B crew filming us landing on Kangaroo Island with Lou in the window, who you can actually see in the window of that plane when it swings around, but I didn't edit it in because it didn't fit. But it was just beautiful that you could actually, I think we're the only film that shoots an airplane thing where it's actually traveling to that location and actually films the exact plane coming down that actor is on.
So you're on the tarmac filming the plane. Your B crew's on the
there.
That is incredible.
The A crew is in the plane filming the inside scenes. And then when we landed, I thought, well, that all went well. And then to make that day work, we filmed it the same day. We filmed the airport, her getting off and all that kind of stuff. So that all worked. And then we had to shoot, or I wanted to shoot, a scene at a nearby KI Spirits outdoor restaurant cafe area. Mm-hmm. And it was to be the end of the film where Rory is having a great time with her daughters and everything's great. And it was just his daughters, just a three second montage of them just having a great time. It was to fit in another montage of other things. I thought that's going to be an easy thing to get. We'll get the crew to go down there, set it up, bang it off. There's no sound needed. It took 5 hours to shoot 3 seconds. 3 seconds of 3 actors laughing. And I had to sit my people down and say, guys, this is not how we are going to roll. All right.
We don't have the money for that.
And the amount of time that went into wardrobe, which was fine because they were doing themselves up, but lighting, and it wasn't the lights, it was to knock back the light with all the black sheets and negative fill and all that kind of stuff. And that was suddenly everywhere. I had the whole crew watching. It's like, just go to your rooms, enjoy your accommodation. You don't need to be here. They decided to mic the sound anyway. So everyone had to have sound. And I specifically asked for no sound because I wanted them to be laughing and not even be aware of the bad jokes or the inappropriate jokes that they might have to make with themselves to make them laugh.
Right.
But it was just one of those things where there was a machine at work. And everyone thought their role was more important than anyone else's because they're making a movie and it's in a small town, Adelaide, where that's exciting. Mm. And so I can't remember where the question started, but the lesson there was to be able to tell everyone, just stop this nonsense. This is not how we're going to film. We are going to be much freer, much flyer. We do not care about how much darkness is on this side of the face. We don't care. We want to see them laughing. And we need to get that quickly. So let's let that be the new rule. And that was the new rule. And not one person has said this film doesn't look beautiful. And yet I had to say, just stop lighting. Just please stop lighting. Don't finesse that. We're going into another take where I don't care if that's there, just leave it. We're going. And that was interesting.
That is beautiful to hear that, because your cinematographer, Ian McCarroll, is that his name?
Yep.
Your lensman is fantastic. And then hearing you earlier say that you invested in good lenses and things like that.
Always, yeah.
I'm no expert. I'm not a cinematographer, but that looks like money well spent, because your film is gorgeous to look at. And just the vistas and the views and those oceanfront shots. And it sounds like you just asked your cast to embrace verisimilitude. Let's go for what feels real. We're not trying to go for a polished, expensive, glitzy Hollywood film.
Right.
This is an earthy, homegrown family story on Kangaroo Island.
I think we had the attitude that we're not going for a Hollywood glitzy, perfect film. We're going for something better. And I think because we were like, let's go for something better than that, as opposed to we can't get that, but let's do our best. Let's do our best to try and make it feel that way. But Wow. If I've got the most expensive lenses in the world, I've got a beautiful location, it's an incredible script, and I've got amazing actors.
Yeah.
We can do this very fast, cost efficiently, and
that's the thing I really enjoyed, is because I definitely want to talk a little bit about location. I know we've discussed it a little bit, and then I can't wait to talk about the brilliant cast. The location, those cliffs, they look pretty jagged. I don't see as many jagged cliffs quite like that in Hawaii. Because eons and millions of years have smoothed it out. All that volcanic rock is smoothed into nice sand. But the cliffs, maybe I'm over searching for metaphor and meaning, because that's a lot like life. Life isn't smooth. Life is jagged. And so there's this wonderful contrast of this beautiful home perched over these jagged cliffs overlooking the ocean. And I just thought the setting is poetry. It was just a perfect contrast.
You feel really vulnerable on Kangaroo Island. It is a bit treacherous. We have both broken our ankles there on those jagged rocks. There are actually, you are keeping your eye out for great white sharks, and you do see them occasionally where you would like to swim.
Which happened on set.
Yep.
When she was jumping off the jetty scene, we had to pause because there was a great white swimming around the jetty. We had to shoo it off with a boat.
Wait. How close does a great white come to the shore?
Close. Yeah.
That's
within your swimming area.
Yeah.
That is freaky.
Yeah.
It is. And
that's Kangaroo Island.
There are
seals are doing the same, dolphins everywhere. So you're always, whenever you see the fin, you just wait for it to go down and then up again, because you want to know it's a dolphin, not a shark. But you see that daily when you're swimming at Kangaroo Island.
You do, and you're stomping your feet going to the beach. Because you're scaring off the poisonous snakes, and by poisonous,
they have two snakes. They have two snakes on Kangaroo Island: the copperhead and the tiger snake, and they're both in the top 10 most venomous in the world. The good news is they are chicken, so they'll always run away. They won't go after you.
That's what they tell you.
But
but seriously, you should come to Kangaroo Island, because it sounds scary, and there is an element of danger.
Yeah.
But there are certainly ways around that, of course, or people wouldn't go and wouldn't live there.
It's not dangerous.
But what it actually does is kind of put you back in your animal place, if that makes sense. You're more in tune with your instincts, and it actually makes you feel more alive than ever.
Yeah,
it's kind of
spiritual.
A spiritual place. It like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. There's something addictive about that place. And I don't get it anywhere else. I really wanted to share Kangaroo Island with Americans. And I really hope more Americans get there. I know it's so far to travel, but it's such a special place.
I just want to add, before I forget, because I took a photograph of that, those cliffs that you see in the very last shot. They're actually right by our property, so we're very familiar with those cliffs. And when I was kayaking there the other day, I took a photo, put it into ChatGPT, and said, tell me about these rocks. And it came back and said, this is geological gold. At the bottom, you have 500 million year old rock, the very skeleton of Kangaroo Island, before insects, before trees. And then your next layer is this layer, and this layer is the dinosaurs, and this layer is 50,000 years until you get to the top couple of thousand years. And he said, but rarely on Earth do you see the entire age of the planet in one cliff set out in layers. And that's actually at the very end of the film. I didn't know that while we were shooting, but I did love those cliffs.
That is incredible.
How topical is that for the very last scene of the film when that discussion they have in front of those cliffs?
Yeah.
So that's a wacky, nice, happy accident.
That is perfect. I need to get there. My wife on her bucket list, and it's at the top. She wants to go to Australia, and
we'll hook you up.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to figure out how to get out there. And if we're going to Australia, we're going to Kangaroo Island. We'll find a way.
Well, we got accommodation for you, so get in touch.
Well, I'd love it. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. I think the other thing that I really liked about your description of all the animals and things on Kangaroo Island, and I think what I'm feeling there is that you don't feel you feel like you're in a pecking order, as it were, rather than because there are other places that are where, you just feel like the concrete jungles of the cities and things, we've kind of driven out biodiversity. We've driven out the flora and fauna. And then when you get to a place where it's like, there's so many things in here that you don't have mastery over, and you need to respect where you are. You've got great whites off the coast. We've got copperheads and scorpions and whatever else here. Just know your place. I don't know.
And it just made you feel so in touch with your ancestors. It's like, this is what it was actually like.
Wow.
That fear, a little bit of fear at all times.
I wanted to transition a little bit here into your cast, because that is, when I think, this is such a dorky nerd thing to say, when I think of Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, each stone has a very important purpose. And this is a really bad metaphor.
I love that this is such a rarity to have someone so well read, and this is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. So when I think of each of those stones has a critical performance, and if any one of those stones is absent, then you're not really firing on all the cylinders. And this is a film where your script is wonderful. The cinematography is next level. The direction, the pacing, the editing, all of that is firing on all cylinders. And then you have a cast. And in my review, which I haven't published yet, I'm waiting for the embargo to lift. In my review, I wrote, these all feel like very lived-in characters. They don't feel like they're just people who showed up and memorized lines and showed up on the day. They feel real. They feel lived in, authentic, and genuine. And I think that has something to say, of course, about the writing, but the casting. Everyone just gelled together in a very cohesive way. And I wanted to know if you could speak to the early days of casting. Did you write with specific actors and actresses in mind, or did you write and then they came on to the project after with casting?
I didn't write with anyone in mind. I always thought Lou was going to be blonde. I'll probably throw to Tim for the casting because he's got the instinct on that, and he did such a good job.
Well, our local casting in Adelaide is Heesum Casting, and they basically, I said, look, I haven't been in Australia for a while, so I don't know who would be a great Australian actress for this. And we knew we had a low budget, but we knew we had actor bait.
Yeah.
So we were going to go to the top. From Margot Robbie down. We weren't scared of going to anyone with the script because we said, look, no budget, but beautiful movie. Have a look. What's the worst that can happen? And in that list was Rebecca Breeds, and I just stopped watching, finished Clarice, the spin-off of Silence of the Lambs, where she plays Clarice.
Right.
And Jodie Foster's character with that accent. So I had no idea she was Australian, but I did remember thinking it was great, and she was great. So when I saw her, I instantly went, wow, what I like about her is that this Lou character is pretty nasty when we first meet her. And it's easy to hate a blonde bombshell actress who's acting like a dick. Whereas Rebecca just had a presence about her where she's a darling, no matter, no matter what's coming out of that mouth or whatever that's. And so I already thought, well, that's a plus. And then I thought her acting's obviously a plus because she's phenomenal. And then as I was watching Clarice, I saw my good friend in Canada was the cinematographer. I shot a lot of commercials with him in Toronto. So I rang him and I said, hey, what's she like? He just could not say nicer things about an actor. and how professional she was. And so she was the first person we went out to, and we thought, all right, here we go. Here come the list of rejections. This is going to suck. Because you don't make a movie unless you attach someone half decent. And so it was our first test. Anyway, I asked my business partner, Daniel Rosenberg, who is and was a film producer of big blockbusters and grew up sort of through the Hollywood system. And he looked up the manager and said, oh, I know Todd, the manager. I interned with him at, not CAA, but One Life, ICM or something. So he said, I'll reach out. And so he sent the script to Todd. Todd got back and said, oh, great to hear from you. Yeah, we'll get back to you. And then 2 days later, he got back and all it said was, we love it, let's make a movie. And later, if you talk to Rebecca, she basically got it on her phone from Todd as she's driving through Big Sur, California with Luke Mitchell, her gorgeous actor husband. Yeah. They're driving and she looks up her phone and goes, oh, here's the script. All right, I'll read the first 5 pages. Just, want to do the right thing here and not just blow it off. She just read another Australian film that she hated. So she wasn't in a good headspace for it. But on the phone, driving through Big Sur, she could not put it down and read the entire script on her phone. And then I don't know what she said to her husband, but she instantly got back to Todd and said, yes, yes, yes. Isn't that great? What a great story. And that made us really believe in the film. And then her agent, so not her manager's Todd, her agent also was the agent of Adelaide Clemens. And while we were going for, we could only really afford one key lead, but we knew, no one was caring. Rebecca didn't care about the money. She loved the script. So she was going to do us a solid there. And the agent already knew that. And because the agent already had Adelaide Clemens, she was going to be in Australia at the time. And Adelaide had done a lot of, big TV shows, and she never stops working. And she's just come off a Broadway show. And he said that, she loves the script too. So she wouldn't normally, come second tier in a film like this in a small indie. She would only take a lead, but it's sort of like a co-lead anyway. And she's interested if we're interested. And I just couldn't believe, we've got Adelaide and Rebecca all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then after that, the Heatham suggested Erik Thomson, who I didn't know because I'd been away for 20 years. And I thought he was too young. We'd gone older. So they said, no, trust us. He's incredible. And he put himself on tape for it. I think which he normally wouldn't do for a small budget like this. But he was friends with the casting agent, and they really believed in me in the film at this point. And they obviously believed in him, so they wanted to marry us up. And then when Sally saw his audition with me, we were just like, holy crap, wouldn't it be great? So we rewrote to make him younger.
Actually, I'm not really as a writer, obviously, there's a pecking order in film, and
sure,
you're not supposed to weigh in on casting, but I was like, so Erik, special. Anyway, yeah, I'm biting my nails, like, oh my God, who's my husband gonna pick? Like, working together and like that pecking order, actually, it's very blurry lines there.
Another funny story. Sally was like, loved Rebecca too, and so when I said, great news, Rebecca's in, we're going. Yeah. Sally suddenly was like, well, who else could we have got? Did you go out to Margot yet? Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? This is great. Is it great? Do we fuck up? It's like, all of this is happening for a reason, and it's positive. Don't fret.
It gets so anxious making a movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we just feel like you said we got the exact right people that were supposed to be in this film.
Yeah.
And Joel Jackson too is this incredible. Oh. We saw him speak at some award ceremony, and we both looked at each other and said, imagine if we could get him. And then, he came on board. But we really didn't have much time to work with these actors. We only had a couple of read-throughs before we were shooting.
Literally a couple.
But they went
no rehearsal time.
Table read.
Really?
A lot of conversations with Rebecca originally, and they just went well. But that was not rehearsal. That was just talking about what's going on, where we want to be. Same with Adelaide, a little less. And then, not much with Erik and absolutely nothing with Joel, because by that stage, I was just so confident with Joel and everything else that was happening that I didn't even think we needed to have a discussion, which was a lesson learned, because he did have a slightly different take on it. So we had to work that out. But, we just got so lucky, I think.
To their credit,
chemistry. They made their chemistry work.
They did.
They went out for walks and they did things together and
on their own. They were so passionate about it. And like, being from an acting background, I said, like, do you think Rebecca is going to do the backstory work, which basically, you know, means you have to personalize all these circumstances. You have to make this so real in your body so that when you're interacting with these people, it feels authentically like family.
Right.
And then, you know, our first Zoom with her, she had pages and pages of notes and questions, and she's such a pro. She was doing all that preparation work that you have to do. And we just got, and also she's a delight on set. There was no drama, no diva behavior from anyone, which just makes a low budget film just so seamless.
Yeah, we were lucky. That was great.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to hear there wasn't a lengthy or a substantial rehearsal period. I'm shocked. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that, again, that's the magic of movies, really. I mean, and by the way, when I watched the film, I said, Adelaide, where have I seen Adelaide before? Yeah. And I realized my wife and I had watched Under the Banner of Heaven, and she was in that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, and so good.
She's a freak. She's so talented.
And Rectify. She was the leading woman in Rectify.
Right.
And there's many others. Her list is ridiculous. So yeah, she's that person you see and you go, where have I seen her before? But she's so good. She's like an athlete that you just throw on the field and you get this incredible, you know, performance.
If I can ask, what as a director, Tim, I mean, what was your biggest challenge? I mean, I think we've kind of touched on it, trying to like, hey, we're not going for this isn't a Cecil B. DeMille epic. We're going for something a little bit more earthy and grounded, given our budget and given our resources. But what if there was? Were there any other major challenges that you faced making this film, directing this film?
I wanted Skinny B.
Yeah,
Look,
there we go.
I'm used to shooting in the States.
Okay.
With elite crew, the top of the top.
Okay.
You know, commercials with Linus Sandgren, Philip Lassord, Philip Russello, Dean Cundy, which I dressed about. So as a commercial maker, you get to work with the top. And I think, and these people are looking at me as a director who has not achieved anything in film like they have, decent in commercials. So there's respect there. But just their attitude in LA and New York to a director is just, let's give this director what they need. And they know how to do it brilliantly, collaboratively, and with the highest respect. And I've always got along really well with them. Coming to Adelaide, which is a much smaller place, it didn't matter what I'd done. It was like I was the new kid who had to be taught how to shoot a movie. And I found that very hard. And that's all I'll say about it. That was difficult to manage, and in the end, I had to, I guess, bulldoze more than I ever had before. But I had to really lay down the law sometimes and go, "This is how it's going to be done," or it was just going to blow out the budget. But also in Australia, a lot of films are government backed, so if you're blowing out the budget, it's happy days for everyone. Everyone gets a bigger check. But for me, it was like going to come out of my bank account if I went over. So so I had to get the crew online. And by the way, some of them are absolutely phenomenal, like the key grip. Key gaffer, there are people in that group who get it and are just like, well, you're the director, like, yeah, what do you need? And sometimes it'll be just a bit to the side, what do you really need? Yeah, this, thanks, gotcha. So there'd always be a side wink with a couple of the key ones. And Ian was super collaborative, so he'd be like, just wait for Tim, he'll have a plan. And then, if people just go, well, what's going on? Because when you shoot that fast, I didn't have time to tell everyone also, all the crew, how this is going to roll. It was just, and I just hadn't worked with so many. But I have to say, in that pocket of people were the best and worst that I've ever worked with. But I mean the absolute best who could hold their own in Hollywood on a blockbuster, absolutely no problem.
Wow.
And some that just shouldn't be in the industry, but are because they wanted to, and no one else is doing it because there's not enough work and money in it in Adelaide.
Right. Yeah, I get it. You kind of have to play the hand you're dealt sometimes with people.
Yeah.
That can be a mixed bag.
About making the movie for sure, which I'm sure a lot of people think. But
oh, actually, there's a great movie called I think The Bear or something like that. There's a couple,
yeah.
Yeah, about making a movie.
Comedies.
It's a horror show.
Oh.
It's all about the nightmares that I have. Yeah, because when you're a director, you go to sleep, and I don't know if others do, but I do. I just dream about the shoot next day.
Yeah.
And everyone's there, and I don't know what I'm doing, and it's just the worst feeling in the world.
That's great. I mean, I know, I think I'm in chorus with everyone else who has seen your film. There's no evidence that there were any deficiencies with any of the production at all. This is as close as you can get to a perfect independent film that I've seen. And I'm not using any hyperbole. There is no exaggeration here. That is a genuine response. This is up there with Little Miss Sunshine for me. This was a great film, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I'm just honored to be able to just meet the two of you and assist in my tiny sphere of influence to try and help promote and raise awareness, because I loved your film. Fantastic.
So much. We obviously have no marketing budget, so that is
so if this is recorded, I'd love to get that little snippet posted on our socials, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is being recorded. I will provide a clip of that. And I do mean it. I mean, at times when I was watching your film, I thought, this is King Lear. It is. It's very much a father, an ailing old father and his daughters who can't get along. And it's so there were elements, there were Shakespearean themes in here in your script, Sally, which was just phenomenal. And I liked learning a little bit about Kangaroo Island, because I'm naive and I thought they've invented a place called Kangaroo Island. It's not a real place. So I literally Googled afterwards. I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. There really is a Kangaroo Island. And then as I learned and read a little bit more about Kangaroo Island, I'm like, my goodness, 52% of the wildlife were decimated in those fires in 2020. Yeah. And then I began to realize, oh, you guys reference that throughout the film. There's a few references to those devastating fires.
Yeah.
So that was just nice. I don't know if you guys do that. You watch a film, you're interested in it, and then you get on IMDb and look up the actor that's in it, or you do a Google search.
Yeah, definitely. If you're into the film, that stuff's really interesting. But again, that's where just being authentic to a place just led to really nice plot twists, with those two birds that are endangered.
And that was so funny how Lou got that over on her sister, on Freya. That was so good.
I know, right?
That was so gold. That was so gold. And I don't want to give anything away, because if you're listening to this, the film is called Kangaroo Island. It opens, I think, officially on the 24th of April. Is that correct?
Yes. Right, yeah. Angelica in New York and Monica Film Center in Los Angeles. I think it's Apple.
So it'll have a limited big screen, limited engagement. So if you're lucky enough if you're listening to this and you're in the Los Angeles or the New York area, look for this film, Kangaroo Island. I believe it will be streamed at some point. I think you said Apple TV. Is that correct?
No, sorry. That was the theater chain, I think in San Fran or something. So but it is in Dallas, San Francisco, and Honolulu. It will stream probably in May, pending contracts and things. But let's assume it's never going to be seen other than in the cinema. So if you can get there,
you gotta go.
Perfect. Yeah. No. And by the way it's shot, and I know we've talked about this, but the cinematography, the location, it's exotic, it's gorgeous. I really want to see this on the big screen, and that's the thing about your film, is that it's very resonant with me and my wife and I. I mean, even after it was done,
you watched it with your wife. That's great.
Yeah, even after it was done, my wife was like, "I really enjoyed that film," and it was like the day after. So I'm like, you remember it the next day. And if you're in touch with Rebecca and Adelaide and Erik anytime between now and the release, let them know those three knocked it out of the park. They did such a great job. That they did. And if they ever would want to come on a podcast and talk for a little bit, I'd be honored. But I know they're very busy. Fantastic. Yeah.
It's lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Not just that you liked the movie, but thank you for taking the time to meet with us. And
of course. Thanks for creating and making something so enjoyable and so real. We don't get enough of that, and I really enjoyed your film. And I didn't get a chance to ask you what's next, but that's okay. You'll come back. You'll come back to this. I'll still be here.
We're
Yeah, okay,
writing.
great.
We're writing. So
Awesome. This is great to hear. Okay, so that was my interview with Sally Gifford and Tim David discussing their new film, Kangaroo Island. I've written a review of this. It's on my Letterboxd, which I hope you get a chance to read and check out. It was a joy to watch, and it was even more fun to sit down, and I hope you agree with me, and to talk with Tim and Sally about the creative process and some of the decisions they made and how they got so many things to work and come together to make such a great finished product. This is a crowd-pleasing film. I'm not blowing air here. I'm telling you, I don't speak in hyperbole. If I love something, I love it, and I'm not faking. This is a great film, Kangaroo Island. It is now open in select cinemas here around the United States. It already had its premiere, I believe, in Australia, but now it's playing in select cities. And if you're not able to catch it on the big screen, I urge you to try and catch this when you see it streaming. It's destined to be on Apple or Amazon or Netflix. It's going to be there when you see it. Please watch it. It's a great film for couples. It's a great film for family. It deals with some pretty important themes, as you've heard me talk about, but I don't want to spoil the whole thing. It's a great film. Just a great film. I'm repeating myself. I can't. I'm so effusive with my praise for the film because I really loved the film. I didn't just like it, I loved it. So I hope you feel the same way too. I'll see you next week. I'm cooking up something next week. I'm always cooking up something by way of guests or something interesting. And so there will be something that will come. I don't quite know yet, but it'll come. And yeah, I know you will enjoy the next episode of this podcast. I hope you're happy. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. I hope that you are finding love in your life. I hope that you are looking for positive things around you. I hope that you are making a concerted effort to think of the world around you as a glass that's also half full. I know that sounds like generic advice, but I think we all need to just stop being so critical and so down, as it were, so negative about the negative things in our lives when there are so many positive things. If you got out of bed and put you put your pants on one leg at a time and took a hot shower, congratulations. You just did what millions can't do. Almost billions can't do in this world of ours. So if you're listening to this and that's what you experienced, you're doing so much better than you think. There are people out there who would love to have the day you're having today. So just to put that in perspective, okay, enough out of me. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.